What's up, guys? It's Nikki Lachey, and you are listening to Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity.
The views and opinions of this podcast are solely those of the host, Beyond Borders Media. And trust me, if you hear something you didn't like, go do your research.
Before y'all sat up here and saw the title, I know y'all saw the dislikes. I didn't even say a damn thing yet, and they disliked it. And this was from yesterday, folks. It's Kid Gravity. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me tonight on a special Friday edition of Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity. Folks, like the title says, I don't get this man. I don't know why y'all disliked it. I don't know if it's the anti-Tariqs who don't like him because they think he coons. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the pro people because in the description I said I'm a Tommy Sotomayor fan and they had their tensions for years and still do. I don't know, but thank you for the dislikes because at least you clicked on it and hopefully you put a reminder so now you're seeing it live. Folks, again, like I said, I don't get this man. But I have enlisted two brothers to explain to me why this man is on their radar and why they are fans of his. So hopefully tonight we will get a better understanding for Kid Gravity because I am all about knowledge. So, real quick, I know you see the screen. This is a recent video he did about 19 days ago. This was after the election. And where he was talking about how black people got finessed during the election. So this clip I found, he was talking about the banking system and how they wanted Biden to win because I guess it would probably line their pockets. So let's see what he said, and then we'll get into it. Wait, I think I put it too big. Okay, let's see.
The media, bigs them up, and they're put in by these bankers and things. The bankers didn't like Trump. Also, with Trump, and I'm just telling you what it is. Trump was on a lot of people's bumpers that was standing in the way of a lot of shit. So they had a vested interest to get Trump out of here. Also, they saw that the black grassroots had an effect on the voting population because we know a lot of people who stayed home. So they were like, well, fuck, if these niggas are going to stay home and demand something for their vote, well, we got a little trick shot in our back pocket. We'll still have votes come in and we'll just say you niggas voted for us because we're white, we say so. Yeah, so y'all niggas want to stay home and force us to give up some tangibles? Come on, mail-in ballots at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's a conspiracy theory. Shameless plug for our show tomorrow that Rose Gold and I will give you. It'll be out probably Sunday, maybe Tuesday. Depends on how I feel. Because tomorrow is that Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight and the UFC. So depending on when we do the show and I feel like editing and getting all my other work done will depend on if you get it Sunday or Tuesday. But back to what Tariq said. Tariq was basically talking about the big companies who are who are hedging their bets on who they want in to the White House, because as we know, the U.S. economy basically has far-reaching effects around the world. We succeed, everybody succeeds. We fail, everybody fails. And you're seeing us failing right now, even though Trump's economic setups right now, they are doing well based on if you take the stock market the way it is, even though other economies are not doing as well. But that's politics and economics. We're not going to do that tonight. Tonight is about black people. So that was one thing he said about that. And I kind of agree with some of it, mainly the part about them with the mail-in ballots, because we knew that was going to be rigged from the start. There was really no oversight with it. So you could just play it how you wanted to play it and play the game the way you needed to play the game. But, we're not going to harp on that because that's politics and we're not doing politics tonight. But again, like I said, I don't get this man. But like I said, I have View from the Man Cave on. He's probably doing some family things. But once he comes in, we'll chop it up, hopefully, and he can explain to me more about Tariq Nasheed. Because, again, like I said, I don't get him. Now, when we talk about him, now, as I said, I'm a Tommy Sotomayor fan. I'm kind of been weighing off of him, though, the last couple months, especially during the pandemic. And I've been doing more searching of black-oriented programming because I kind of want to see differing opinions and more moderate views. You can only take FY people more than once. So I've been looking at people like Taisha Essex and my guest, View from the Man Cave, Ultimate Black Man. Who else? Afro Synergy News and other places here and on Instagram. So yes, I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. I'm critical on black people, but I'm trying. So I want to say thank you all for joining me. So now I'm going to bring Frank in, let him introduce himself, and then I'll have him give his statement on why he likes Tariq. So Frank, whenever you're ready, you can click off your mute button or whatever.
Sure thing. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
All right, everyone. Good evening. This is your man Frank, View from the Man Cave. So, my brother reached out to me, Kid Gravity, and said he wanted to do this show, and he wanted me and Gabe, Ultimate Black Man Radio, if he's able to make it on, to come on and talk about the homie Tariq or Flex, and to talk about why I rock with him or why I'm a fan of his. First and foremost, let me say this. There are a plethora of people that I like, that I listen to on social media. It does not mean that I share every sentiment that they have. It does not mean I don't blindly or 100% follow anybody. I don't think that's a good move for anybody to make. But there are a lot of things about the brother that I do like. So from my history of him, I kind of got turned on to the brother a little later than some people. I didn't really hear about him or start following him until I would say the first or the second Hidden Colors drop. But before, and so when I think it was Hidden Colors 2. So when Hidden Colors 2 came out, I watched it. I loved it. I went back and got Hidden Colors 1, and then I started, looking up everything Tariq Nasheed. So I got put on to some of his earlier work, which was the Mac lessons. He wrote a couple books, The Art of Macking and Play or Be Played. And so he's always, from the beginning, he has a hustler mindset. He has a hustler mentality. And, he was kind of in the public eye. I remember going back, I seen him he was in like a Faith Evans video, you know what I mean? Like he was like an extra in a music video. So he's kind of always, been in that entertainment world, so to speak, or maybe he wanted to kind of get into it. So he's been around that, that space for a while. And then, by his own admission, he talked about how, he would be in these spaces and places and a lot of guys will, talk about relationships, how to get with the woman or how to get the woman that they want, the type of woman that they want. And so he just said, okay, well, I have a little game. I've been around. I know a few things, so I'm gonna put a book out. You know what I mean, to kind of help some brothers out. And so he did that. It did well. I think the first one was the Art of Mac, and that was for the guys for the most part. And then that book did well, and so he did another book, Play or Be Played, for the ladies, kind of giving them some game too. And then he talked about how he would watch all these documentaries and stuff like that about history, and how we would always be excluded, or they would always minimize our role and contribution to the culture. And so he said, hey, look, he decided to do a documentary. And I think it was a show he did where he had some money from one of his book sales. So he had like 20 bands on him, and he showed it, to the people who were watching that night. And he said, look, I got 20 stacks. If you guys can match that, I'll do a documentary. I want to do a documentary, talking about, our history, our real history, without any whitewash or sugarcoating or anything like that. So the people said bet, and they put up another 20,000. He did Hidden Colors 1. And then, and he's been on a roll ever since. So for me, I like the brother, because he's reliable. He's dependable. You know what I mean? He's never really, to my understanding, played with the people's money. When he said he was going to do something, he did it. He did it on time. He did it in a proper fashion. He did it the right way. He had, scholars that we all love in these documentaries. He's had Shahrazad Ali in them. He's had
Greatest black woman that ever lived.
Hey, I'm not going to dispute it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I just do that just to get people mad.
Nah, I love her. I mean, I had a chance to
Yes.
see her live at a lecture earlier this year. I mean, she was beautiful inside and out. And so she was in there. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Phil Valentine, all of these legends, man, all of these warrior scholars that we all love and appreciate. He got them to kind of come on and co-sign it and make the documentary series what it was. So just on the strength of that, I have a lot of respect for the brother. He's not a leader. I think people try to make him out to be a leader of black.
That's what I want to get into next.
Right. He's right. So I'll let you take it wherever you want. I mean, I'm a guest, so I'm gonna let you do your thing, and then however you want me to chime in, I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about that because, like I said, I knew about him from about 2013, and I think that was when he started. He was still doing the Mac stuff, but he was starting, I guess, Hidden Colors 1, I guess, and he was talking pro-black. And I did a little bit of research on him, and he was also a rapper. And that's why I put in that group that we're in. I said, somebody got to explain this to me, because y'all have him starting out as a rapper and then going to DC and showing senators how to mac on women. But then now he's a activist, and he's like now an elder statesman. And it's like, okay, so he gets that, I guess, he gets that pass to change from the bottom. Now he's at the top, but he's like devoid of criticism, especially with black people. Because I see his stuff on Twitter, and he gets a lot of engagements, and they're usually positive for the most part. And people swear by his words. So I guess that's probably one of the main things that's confusing me with him. Because we know others that do that, but then if Tariq says, hey, he a coon or she's a sellout, we all run with that. So maybe y'all can explain that part. Maybe you can explain that part to me.
Okay, so all right, so let me go back to that. So that little playlist that you sent, so that was real. That was really him rapping, because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that was his. Yeah, that's K Flex. Yeah, that was his.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, so at first, when I first saw it, at first glance, I'm thinking, okay, somebody's just kind of, put something together. But I didn't know that he was really a rapper before, like when he first started. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know if it was published. Oh, by the way, before you finish, sorry. Disclaimer: this is not a hate blog. So if one of y'all Tariq fans go over there and send it to him, this is not a hate blog. I'm just trying to understand this, man. But Frank, please continue.
So I really had no idea that he did that. But to me, honestly, it doesn't really matter. When you look at history, some of now Flex has never considered himself to be a leader, and rightfully so. But when you look at some of the people that we look at as leaders, they've all come from past that were, weren't the greatest. I mean, we all revere Malcolm. Malcolm was a drug addict. Malcolm, he did a lot of things. He went to prison. He did a lot of things that, weren't were unbecoming, excuse me, of a man of quality. But he changed his life. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, he went to prison. He got up, with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he became something greater than he ever thought he could. You know what I mean? So on the strength of, if that's where Flex came from, that's what he was doing, it really doesn't shock me, because a lot of people who put in work, in our community, they came from the street. You know what I mean? They came from a different life, a different culture, and they just said, hey, look, I have some influence. I have a little bit of knowledge and wisdom, so let me move and do it in the proper way. And I think that, Flex, above all, I think he's a businessman, and and so he's going to go where I think I think he was just him trying to find his niche. In music, a lot of people dabble with that. Maybe that didn't pop off the way he wanted it to. So he did the books. I mean, the books did well, and that opened him up to other avenues and platforms for him to do other things that he might have been interested in. Maybe if he came out with the documentary first, before the books, or before any of the other stuff, maybe people wouldn't have respected it, or maybe they wouldn't have ran to the store to go buy it, or, or copy it and watch it. You know what I mean? So you have to go through certain levels and phases in life to get to, a certain platform to where when you do put something out, people can respect it and appreciate it a lot more. So yeah, but he's never considered himself to be a leader. And I'll say this as well. We no one is above reproach. No one. You know what I mean? Even though I'm a fan of his, there pretty much isn't anything that he's done, especially on the documentary side of the game, that I haven't supported. You know what I mean? I've contributed to, the GoFundMe's. I went to the theater to see it when it opened. I bought the DVDs. You know what I mean? I bought DVDs as gifts for family members. You know what I mean? For Christmas or whatever. So, but it doesn't mean that there's no one out here who's above reproach. There's no one above being criticized, and so I don't think it's wrong for you to criticize him, or to say, hey, look, I don't know what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? This is what it looks like to me. You know, maybe let me get some brothers, or some people to come on to kind of give me an idea of what's really going on, because I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's wrong at all. And if there's anybody out here who thinks like that, I think they're wrong. You know what I mean? We can't blindly subscribe to anybody, and there's no one above reproach. So, and honestly, and just to be fair, just to be honest, even though I have a lot of respect for the brother, you know what I mean, there are some things that he's done, by his own admission, where he felt like he kind of, came up a little short, or kind of took a L. You know what I mean? I can name two of them off the break. Like when he was real big one time on us having our own social media platforms. I think around that time he was getting, or a lot of us were getting banned and blocked on Twitter and Facebook and things like that, Instagram. So he said, hey, look, I think we should have our own social media site. And so, he took it to the stats, he took it to the streets, and came up with the Morris app. So he did a Morris app. He had a GoFundMe for that. He raised some money for that. He put the Morris app out like he said he would, on time, but it wasn't to his standard. There was some glitches to it. It wasn't as fluid as he would like, so he had to scrap it, or so he scrapped it. And so, so that's one L that he took, and that he would admit to by his own admission. I've heard him talk about it and admit to that. Also, when he got into it with Umar, and this is just me personally, you know what I mean? When he got into it with Umar, and they had their falling out, one of the things he said, he did a video, it was about 45 minutes to an hour, where he just, he went after Umar. He said a lot of things about him, you know what I mean? He kind of just buried his brother. And so, and if I wasn't opposed to that at all, you know what I mean? I followed him for a while, and I kind of, found Umar to be a fraud too, in my personal opinion. But there was one thing that Tariq said in that show that always stuck with me. And what he said was, he said, look, he said, I've kind of known for a while that Umar was a fraud. You know what I mean? Like behind the scenes, working with him, working with people who, who have worked with him in the past, it kind of got out that this brother was a fraud. And so basically what Tariq said was, he said, look, he sat on that and he didn't say anything about it until he and Umar got into a beef. So when Umar called him out and started, saying he wanted to fight him and, he's this and he's that, then that's when Flex decided to do the video bodying him and just letting the world know that this guy's a fraud. But by his own admission, he knew way before that he was a fraud. So that always rubbed me the wrong way too. Like, I understand we're men. I understand we have a code. We don't speak. We don't do certain things unless we're attacked, unless we're put into a corner. We have to defend ourselves, so to speak. But that always sat. I was always uncomfortable with that, knowing that he knew months, maybe a year before that Umar was a fraud, and he didn't say anything. So he allowed people to still listen to him and contribute to him and give him money, knowing that he knew behind the scenes that this brother was a fraud and taking money and embezzling funds and all that kind of stuff. So, and I think he's learned from that, because you really don't see Tariq deal with a lot of people like that now. Like, he used to be, he used to invest in a lot of brothers and put them on and get them a lot of shine, but he's kind of stopped that now because some of those relationships have gone sour. But outside of those two incidents, and I really can't even, fault him for the Morris app, because, sometimes you make an investment, everything you invest in doesn't hit. You know what I mean? For every one Amazon, there's 10 other companies that try to do something that flopped, you know what I'm saying, or didn't work out. So I don't really knock him for that, even though he did put it out on time, like he said. But outside of that, yeah, man, the brother's good with me. I do think it's dangerous that, he does have a lot of power. He has a lot of clout. I've seen people walk away from people just because Flex said so. You know what I'm saying? Like they just stopped rocking with people. Like, I was never really a big Tommy fan. Like I said, I came on late, but I've heard and I've observed people say that Flex was kind of rocking with Tommy for a minute, and so was Jason Black and a few other people, and then they had a falling out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's kind of like the 50 Cent of this community. Like, if he says don't rock with somebody, a lot of people just off GP, just off the strength of him, will say, okay, I'm not messing with them. You know what I'm saying? And that was, and I kind of alluded to that in our conversation in our group. I was like, a lot of people love this brother, you know what I mean? And they will, if he says something, if he vouch him, and he's, I mean, back in the day when Oprah would have somebody on her couch and she would promote their book, and that book would be a bestseller, you know what I'm saying? And or how she made Dr. Phil out of nowhere. So he has that power, so to speak, right now in the community, where if he vouches for somebody, they're good money. And if he comes out and says that, this person's a fraud, this person's a coon, this person's this and that, just on the strength of him and how much people love and respect him, they're going to charge that person to the game on the strength of what Flex says. So it is what it is.
Okay. I'm slowly getting there, folks. Slowly. This is a process, and things like this take a process. Because, like I said, I've been looking at some of his stuff lately. I'm just trying to get a line on him. So I came across this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because I don't want whoever's video it is flag it. But he can't flag it because I mirrored it, so he can't say that I tried something. So I'm gonna see. They said this is his greatest hits, so we'll see. Everybody has their own interpretation of what the greatest is, but let's see what he says. Okay, so music's terrible.
Higher per capita income by far. Indian Americans, for example, have a much higher per capita income than white Americans. Chinese, Japanese, as I say, they're much more likely to get into elite schools, and there is nothing stopping. Look at Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is full of Asians who have these great programming jobs. They are extremely successsul. Now, if 5% of the population, just let me finish, please. If 5% of the population does not yet have a dominant position in running Fortune 500 companies, that will just come in time, given the kinds of advantages that they now have. Again, this seems like a very, very nearsighted and foolish white supremacist policy to build up a group that is being more successful than whites themselves.
They're not. I mean, just saying that they're more successful doesn't mean that they are more successful.
They have to be.
You allow them to thrive. And the minute they do something that you don't like, just like any other immigrant group, Hispanics, they were brought in to undercut Black society as well. Now that they're used as a political point, now the Hispanics are bad. Now all of a sudden you're throwing people out of the country. So the key word is allowed. You can do anything to any immigrant group you want to because as white supremacists, that's what you do.
Is there white supremacy going on in Israel?
Yes, because they're trying to kick
color.
All people who are classified as non-white, they are dominated by the white supremacists.
So how are white people God's chosen people?
No.
Because you say no?
No.
Then why were they able to sit down and make a decision like that? We're going to build a system that control all people of color. We're going to do this and do that. And then the people of color have fallen into that.
Great
so
question.
somebody had to be smart and somebody had to be dumb.
Yep.
And it seems to me that the people of color are the dumb one because, as you said, it's the white people who are making this happen, right?
I agree 100%.
Do you know who Booker T. Washington was?
Absolutely.
And you know that he was born enslaved, right?
Yes, I do.
And you know that in spite of that, he didn't have that hatred in his heart. And his family was sold, his brother died off, and all kind of stuff happened to the man.
Yep.
But he didn't hate. And as a result of not hating, he became a primary figure in America, a good example for mankind. He founded Tuskegee Institute. And he too was hated by the race hustlers, the so-called talented tent.
Yep.
You know, all those people who were blaming white folks. Do you admire him?
I love Booker T. Washington.
And
you know
what
why?
did you love about him?
I love Booker T. Washington because he learned how to hustle white supremacists. He knew how to get out there and get all that money from those white supremacist philanthropists, and he would go to black people and say, pass down your buckets where you are. He gave a very famous speech that a lot of black people were upset about. They kind of thought he was cooning a little bit too, but secretly, you look at his autobiography and his diary, Booker T. Washington couldn't stand white supremacists, and he secretly funded black radical groups at the time, and this is why the federal government had to put agents on him like R.R. Moten and all these people to kind of watch.
Who told you all that?
I read.
You made that. Who did you read that from?
I read. There's a lot of books about Booker T. Washington that you need to really read up on. There's a.
Okay, folks. Yeah, the first one was Jared Taylor, that white supremacist, allegedly white nationalist. Let's be right, white nationalist who was making the rounds a couple years ago with his stance on white nationalism and why white people should be on the top and whatever. And apparently that debate with Tariq went viral and, you know, got him a lot of eyes outside of the black community. And then the other clip you just saw was him on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, The Fallen State, which I think today still is is still the highest. That's the highest show he's done on that channel. So the brother is educated, so I'm not gonna say that he's just like one of them people, those black folks that just run out there and just regurgitate things. He's actually telling you things that you may not have known. Because I do happen to be a fan of the Talented 10th, and I liked his debates with W.E.B. Du Bois and Du Bois, whatever y'all want to call him, because he actually stood on what he was talking about. I did not know he was funding black radical groups, but, you know, shout out to Tariq for that, because he taught me something today. But, you know, like I said, I'm slowly getting there, folks. Slowly. Right. So, Frank, you may continue. Tell me something else that I should know about Tariq that I may not know now.
Yeah, I mean, the brother's heavy, man. You know, I think people rock with him so much and have a lot of respect for him because he has the knowledge of, you know, of a warrior scholar. So he has the mindset and a mentality of, you know, a Dr. Kaba or somebody like that. But his, you know, his energy and his charisma and the way he gives his information, he does it in a way where people, he's very versatile in his approach. So you can have college students, college professors can listen to him and get something from what he's saying. And you can have brothers who are in the street on the block could listen to him as well and get something from what he's saying. And that hasn't always necessarily been the truth for a lot of our, greatest minds. You know what I mean? So a lot of the people that we love and respect the most, for me, like the guys like Malcolm and Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and guys like that, they had the book smarts and then they used the street smarts they had as well to be able to give it to the people. So there really wasn't anyone that they were missing, and anybody could listen to them. So I think if you listen to someone like a Dr. Phil Valentine, who's very, articulate, and and his diction is very proficient, and he says certain things and it goes way over your head. Tariq could say something very similar and say it in a way where you're like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? I understand. I see what you're saying. So he's able to bridge a gap. And I think that's why a lot of people really rock with him like that, and including myself. But everything that he said about Booker T. Washington was true. He was financing a lot of radical groups, and he did understand and know how to play the game. You know what I mean? So the thing with and honestly, I'm a fan of W.E.B. as well. And I'm aware of the Talented Tenth and their debates. I'm aware of his issues with the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey as well. And but I think the one thing that we could all learn is that as Black people, I've always said this and I believe it. As Black people, we're in a war. We're in a war to be able to live our life on our terms. And so when you're in a war, you have to fight wars on multiple fronts. I am a vet. I was in the Army, and I understand that, we have different branches of the military and they all have the same goal, but they go about, getting to that goal in their own unique way based on their strengths. So Army does one thing, Air Force does one thing, Navy does one thing, Marines do one thing, but we all have the same goal. These brothers, to my understanding, the Booker T's and W.E.B's and Marcus Garvey, all these people had the same goal, but they went about it in a different way. And sometimes as Black people in our community, we kind of beef with people who don't do it the way that we think they should, even though we have to fight wars on multiple fronts. So Tariq has a lane, and he's very good at what he does. He's very good in his lane. So because I don't necessarily get out of it what somebody else may get out of it, I'm not going to necessarily say that it's wrong or that he's wrong or what he's doing is wrong. I'm not going to do that. It's like he has a lane. There are people who will listen to him that won't necessarily listen to someone else, a Tommy or whoever, even though some of the things that they may say, some of it could be the same. You know what I'm saying? Some of it could be very true, but just because of who Flex is, people will listen to him and they won't really listen to Tommy like that. And vice versa. There are people who love Tommy who will listen to him say certain things who just don't get Tariq. I can't get it. I can't get the hair. I can't get the slang. I can't get none of that. But I like Tommy. I like what he says. And so, as long as cats aren't necessarily beefing and trying to undercut one another, I'm all for a difference of opinion and people going about, our upliftment and empowerment in their own unique way.
Cool. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Like, he's basically, he has the intellect, but he understands that not everybody's going to understand someone that's going to tell you something from like a professor standpoint. They're just going to give you the analytics of it. He tries to break it down to a level where you're like, okay, I can catch what you're saying. And then I can go later and go look for myself on the other stuff. So, I respect that. Now we got to get into the controversy. His stance on certain Black folks and how he goes hard on them.
Okay.
And I know he don't like Candace Owens. We'll just start off because she's like the number one Black female voice right now.
Well, let me say this. He and honestly, like, I share a lot of the brother's sentiment, and I think we look at Candace Owens the same. Candace Owens is probably about 60-70% right. Anybody who listens to her, and is a fan of Tariq like myself, Tariq will tell you a lot of the things that she says is right. You know, when she says that black people have been slaves, to the Democratic Party, she's right. When she says that, we give our vote to the Democrats at a, at the lowest, the 87, 88% clip, and we've gotten nothing for it, she's absolutely right. When she talks about, how basically how they just use us, they come out, they don't give us anything. There's no tangibles put on the table. They coddle us. They give us this pat on the head, and for our vote. And then when they get our vote, they do absolutely nothing for us. She is absolutely right. I don't think there's a black person in America who's really thinking and watching what's going on who doesn't share that same sentiment. The problem with Candace Owens is that not in what she thinks is the problem, it's in what she thinks is the solution. The Republican Party is not the solution either.
Now that I agree with him on that.
It is not, and that's her issue. Her issue is saying, hey, the
you're
Democrat
going from one side to one,
right. You're
one
going
plantation to the other.
You're going from one plantation to the other. You're basically choosing between getting shot in the head and getting shot in the chest, but both of them will kill you. So I think that what Tariq says and what I believe as well is that she's half right. All of her critiques about the Democratic Party are absolutely correct, but her praise and admiration for the Republican Party is wrong. And that's why I think the issue lies with her.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, because you know me, I always advocate let's go independent,
right,
and start our own.
Right.
That's how you affect change.
Right.
Like,
and that's him.
Republicans, you're just giving them votes that they never expected to get.
Right. And that's him. You know what I mean? And that's what he believes. His thing is, look, and I believe it as well, that, black folks need to be independent. You know what I mean? We can start our own independent party. And obviously, we're never going to have the numbers to like overthrow the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, but we have enough numbers where we can swing. You know what I mean? Right. We've seen it in the last two elections. We did not come out for Hillary. She lost. We came out for Biden and he won. So we have the power. And even Malcolm has said.
Well, we kind of did come out for Hillary. I mean, she still got like almost 90%.
Well, no,
it's just what messed them up was the black men didn't vote for her like the black women did.
Right. Well, our numbers overall, black voter turnout was down for Hillary Clinton. Regardless of how many of us come out or not, we're still going to vote Democrat at like 90%. You know what I mean? But it was lower than it has been in years, you know what I mean? Because usually we're up there around 93, 95. I think Barack got 97%. So we're usually in the like 97, 98. Yes. So we're usually like in the low 90s, but regardless of who's running, I think Kerry might have got the lowest for in the high 80s, but we always turn out very well for Democrats, the ones who do vote. But there wasn't a huge turnout for overall, and Hillary needed that in order to beat him, and she didn't get it, and she lost. But this time, black folks came out. People have said that this election, more people voted in this election in any election ever, including, the Obama one in 2008, the first one. So we came out and that helped to push Biden over in a lot of these swing states. He dominated and won a lot of these swing states because of the metropolitan cities, the Milwaukees, the Phillies, the Atlantas, those cities came out in droves and voted for Biden. So we have the power to swing elections. We have the power to alter elections. So what we have to do is say, hey, look, it doesn't matter which party we vote for. Whatever party is willing to give us the tangibles we want, that's who we're voting for. You know what I mean? If it's Democrat, so be it. If it's Republican, so be it. Whoever's putting the most on the table that we want and that we can benefit from, that's where we're going to swing our vote. And that's how we can change an election.
Or we say screw them and we put our own candidate up there and we'll just mess with you both and shock the world and have a legitimately black voted black person in the White House.
True.
And the grass don't get cut. I'm sorry, black folks. I had to throw one joke in on the show. One joke. But it's not really a joke. But okay, so he's halfway with Candace Owens. Okay. The next one, and I don't like this brother. I don't, because I think he's a plant. I don't want to say he's an agent because I don't really like using that word. But Roland Martin, I can't stand him. And I saw some videos that Tariq went after him too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get what he's trying to do either.
Let me find out. Like, you really a low key Tariq fan. You don't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I saw him on Tommy, and I was like, okay, you know what? I don't get him, but I'm still gonna listen to him because he actually sounds like he's intelligent. But then when they had the falling out, I said, all right, I'm gonna stay with Tommy because I still don't get this dude.
Right.
But like I said, I've been doing my research, and my kid dropped something. I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I started seeing some more of his stuff so I could do research for this show, and I look at his stuff and I'm saying, you know what? I actually agree with what he's saying there. Now, the stuff where he's going around calling people coons and all that, I'm like, I can take it or leave it. But with Roland, I kind of understand where he's coming from because he was running around saying he an agent too, and he's like a tool for white supremacy and all this. Fine. But I feel like Roland would be like the person that you would let in. He'd be like Pontius Pilate. That's how I feel he is. He's there. He thinks he's for you, and then he's gonna stab you in the back, or he's gonna be the one that opens the door when you're trying to plan the meeting, and then all the racist cops come in and arrest everybody.
Yeah. See, Flex is hip, and see a lot of people. You know, I'm very thankful for the brother because there were a lot of things that I felt that I couldn't really explain. But then he put it in a way where I was like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. See, a lot of these people, he understands that we have, and he's talked about it in his Hidden Colors documentary series about the boule and about these token Negroes that are put in these positions in order to pacify us, in order to give the illusion of inclusion, this illusion that, our voices are being heard and things like that. But, his critique of Roland is basically like, he's just a white man in blackface. He does the bidding of the liberal whites. He does the bidding of the Democratic Party. He doesn't hold them accountable. When he's because he's put in certain places where he's around a Hillary Clinton or he's around these upper echelon Democrat, these liberal whites, and he doesn't bring out issues to the table. He's not a real journalist. He's a puppet. He's a mouthpiece for these folks. And so when he gets around, Hillary Clinton, instead of asking her the real questions and holding her feet to the fire, he's on stage dancing with her and talk about hot sauce and inviting her to the cookout.
Wait. You know what I'm saying? To cut you off, brother.
Yeah.
What do you mean he was dancing on stage?
You haven't seen that? Literally, like he was up there doing the little. He was up there
with Hillary.
With Hillary, yeah. He was up there doing the little Dougie.
Don't lie to me.
I'm not. I wouldn't lie to you. Matter of fact,
I'm gonna look this up right now.
Pull it up. Matter of fact,
I'm gonna pull this up. If I see him dancing, he's getting a Negro doesn't need representation video.
What, man?
Oh my God, he did the wobble. Okay. Next week he's getting it.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he.
Wait, I gotta see this. Wait a minute.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got it.
Let me see. Should I play it for the folk?
You can do that. I mean, I'm for all those who haven't seen it, but yeah, you got it.
No, this Negro did not do this.
That man got up there and did a full wobble, man.
Oh my God, the whole audience stood up. No. Oh my God, no. I'm going to leave the sound off. He did not do this.
He did that, man.
Oh my God. Because I've been railing on him since the election No, I tell a lie. I was railing on him ever since that move he did with Ice Cube when he basically brought that Black Lives Matter chick out there and tried to start a fight.
Yeah.
And then when he was crying, watching people vote. Okay, let me see. Wait,
it comes on at the end. I just watched it.
I moved it up.
Okay.
Okay, she's hugging. Okay, that's diplomatic. Oh, there it is.
Now who does some garbage like you've never seen
how is that the wobble though? That's not the
you've
wobble.
Never seen a white. I think it was one longer than that. I'm not sure, but yeah. But that's the point that Tariq and a lot of us are trying to make. You know what I mean? You're in a position where you can hold these people's feet to the fire, where you can ask the real questions. You could say, hey, look, why is it that we vote for you guys more than any group votes for any party, but we get nothing from it? And instead of, asking real questions and getting real answers, he's up there shucking and jiving. You know what I'm saying? So Tariq calls it out. And because he calls it out, Roland and people who like Roland and listen to him will kind of go back and forth. But it's not a personal thing. It's like, look, man, we can't get where we want to get in this world with guys like you in the positions that you're in, because you're a mouthpiece. You're Chicken George. You're put there in a certain position to keep us, to keep us stagnant, to keep us, sleep. You know what I mean? And we're at a point where we're tired of that. You know what I mean? This has been going on for a long time. I mean, it's not just, it was way before Roland. You had guys up there who were shucking the job. A lot of these cats, man, Van Jones was up here crying when Biden won and all that.
I made fun of him. I don't know if you heard that show, but I made fun of him.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you don't see stuff like that. Like, you don't see white commentators crying and dancing with people. Like, you don't see stuff like that. Everything is business. When okay, so I'm on the PTSA board at my kid's school, and
I gotta give you a clap for that, because we need more of that.
Respect. And so I'm on the board, and I chair a committee, the Men Make a Difference committee. And so I go around, and I would go to these membership meetings where we would go to the county level, and we would have these town halls with the county board about resources and things like that. And I will always see, I live in PG County, Maryland. I'm in Maryland, and so, we have a strong Hispanic community here. And when I would go to these town hall meetings for the county, for the school board, these groups, and they will always come in groups, and the groups would be flooded. It would be like 90% Hispanic groups, and it would just be me and 3 or 4 other black people at these meetings. So they would all stand up. They would all talk about, we want these things, and they were always Hispanic related. You know what I mean? It was always there. Like, even when you watch politics, when you watch these town halls on TV, when Hispanic people get up at these town hall meetings and they talk about things, they always talk about things related to them. What are you going to do about immigration? What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about the border? What do like, it's always related to what they're not up there shucking and jiving and dancing and crying about what's going on with other people. They're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? So these guys like Roland are in, well, he used to be, because he kind of like, once they use him and they use him up, they throw him away. He's doing, Facebook lives with, with 200 people in the chat, you know what I'm saying? And so he's not really relevant anymore. But when he was in a position where he could really make change and really speak for his people. And he chose not to do that. And so that's why Tariq and other people, get on him and give him a hard time, because he deserves it.
Okay. Roland, you caught my eye a little bit. Yeah, you're gonna get your own episode soon. Don't worry. Okay, so the next name, we already covered Tommy, and we've covered Roland. We covered Candace. I think I'll leave Diamond and Silk alone, because we all know Diamond and Silk. We're gonna leave them alone. Yeah. I respect their hustle. They got 1 million views off knowing Trump, but right. We all know when the wheels fall off, it's back to hate Whitey. So I'm gonna leave them alone. But I also saw, he had put up a picture on Twitter when Candace Owens got married, and she was taking a picture with Larry Elder. I don't know. I guess I'll ask you first. What are your views on Larry Elder?
Okay, I'm gonna put all these cats in the same box. I'm gonna do your thing. So the way we see Larry Elder, Jesse Lee Peterson, Candace Owens to a degree, they're all the same. And so what Tariq always talks about is, he says, look, the dominant society is what he calls them, or basically white folk. They use these individuals as as puppets to puppet their narrative, because if they say the thing, they use Larry Elder and Jesse Lee Peterson to say the things that they know they can't say publicly, because if they say it publicly, it's going to come off as racist, and they'll be punished for it. Because now in this day and time, up until Trump, when he first came in, you have to be covert with your racism, so to speak. You couldn't come out and say certain things. And so that's the way that the world, in the United States, it switched to that. Like, you have to be more covert as opposed to being overt with your racism. So, but what they do is, they'll monetize and weaponize these individuals in order to be their mouthpiece to say the things that they want to say publicly but can't. And because when Candace Owens says it, or when Larry Elder says it, or when Jesse Lee Peterson says it, we can't call it racism because they'll just say, well, look at these individuals. They're black. They're just like you. Some of them grew up poor and they didn't have a dad, and they're saying these things too. So it can't be racist. You know what I'm saying? Because they're saying it, and they're not white, and they're not from the dominant society and all that kind of stuff. So they use them as weapons to get their message out. But the issue with, like, there's some things that those guys say that I don't necessarily have an issue with. Here's my thing. Like, I'm more conservative, number one, with my approach, because I do agree that we live in a world where that is dominated by racism. I believe that. But at the same time, I don't use that to just give up and quit. And a lot of black people have done that. And so there's certain things that Larry Elder and Jesse Lee Peterson and Candace Owens say. They say, look, basically, do for yourself. You know what I mean? Get out here, work hard, do certain things, and you can make a living for yourself. And I think to a certain degree, Tariq will co-sign that, because although we all live in a system of injustice, in a system that's dominated by white supremacy, it doesn't mean that we can't go out here and get money and acquire land and resources and live a quality of life that we want for ourselves and for our children. We can still do that within a system that is still dominated by racism. So, but at the same, so they're half right when they say, hey, look, you still have to go out here and stop making all these kids you can't take care of, and stop dropping out of school, and stop looking for handouts and all this kind of stuff. A lot of things that they're saying in that regard are true, but we still live in a world that's dominated by white supremacy. We still can deal with and be victims of police brutality with no recourse, no consequence. We still can walk into a bank with the same credit score, with the same variables as a white person have, and not get a loan, or get a loan and have a higher interest rate. Even though our numbers, our stats, our application looks a whole lot better. We're bringing more capital to the table. We have a better credit score, but we're still, we're still getting the short end of the stick, so to speak, in that regard. So these things still do exist, but the Larry Elders of the world, they don't speak to that. They stick to one side of the fence. So they'll say, hey, look, we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and stop killing each other, and stop selling crack, and stop shooting each other in Chicago. They'll use all these talking points that white supremacists want to say publicly, but they can't. But they don't talk about the economic situations that put, these folks in these projects. Where did these projects come from? Why are they so disproportionately filled with black folks? Where do these weapons come from? Where do these drugs come from? These are things that they don't necessarily want to talk about. Even though some of us grew up in these places, we grew up in these spaces, and we never touched crack in our life. Some of us grew up in the inner cities. We grew up poor, never touched a gun, never sold crack, never shot anybody, never joined a gang. You know what I'm saying? So there's no, so you can't necessarily say that just because I grew up like that, I have to be that. You know what I mean? So I kind of get where Larry Elder and them come from, but they do a lot of cooning too. You know what I mean? It's like they only focus on one point, and they don't focus on the entire spectrum of what's really going on. And I think that's why we go so hard on them.
Okay. Frank bringing the heat. Gabe is going to be upset at you. He wanted all this.
Yeah, man. Gabe, that's my man. Gabe, Ultimate Black Man Radio, man. That's like my brother. We like fam. So I know if he came on, if he was able to come on tonight, he would have been dropping some serious heat. He always does.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So let's finish it off here. Okay. So Tariq Nasheed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had to start a coalition of civil rights leaders to get us to the next, from 2020 to, I guess, let's say 2050, who do you pick for that?
I don't really believe in leaders.
I don't either, but some people they feel like there's a lot of black folks that still need someone to tell them what to think and how to move. That's why celebrities are so powerful today.
Yeah, especially in our community.
Right.
And I get your point. I would definitely put Tariq in that category for a plethora of reasons. One, because he gets things done. You know what I mean? He's somebody who's trustworthy. He's had a lot of money passed through his hands from the people, contributing to his documentaries and contributing to, some other things that he's tried to do for the benefit of Black people, of melanated people. And he's always delivered. You know what I mean? Like I said, his only loss, so to speak, was probably his Morris app, and he did put it out. He put an app out. You could sign in. I downloaded it. I signed in. Obviously, and to the brother's credit, I didn't. I think our expectations and maybe his expectations were a little bit too high. For you to come out the first time and and do something like that, and you've never done it, and try to compete with the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter, that's going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? So, but he did. He got the money. He put it together. He had a team. They put it out together and they put it out. It just didn't meet his standards, which is understandable. But I'm putting him in that group because he's somebody who gets things done. He's unapologetic. He's not going to say one thing in our space and then get in a white space and say something different. Which is what a lot of your Boule do, your Roland Martins and things like that. They'll be around us and they'll talk extra Black. They'll talk blackety black, and he's accused, so he'll start dancing around and all of that stuff. But then when he's on
crying in the car,
right. But then he's crying on TV. He's on CNN and MSNBC and whatever network he's trying to get on, crying and explaining and and not holding white people accountable. So Tariq is not going to do that. He's going to be the same person with us as he is on. He's been on Fox News. And he didn't hesitate. He went up there and he was up there with Tucker Carlson. And he gave that work. You know what I mean? So he's not going to change. He's not going to flip on us. Regardless of what money's offered to him or whatever opportunities offered to him, he's not going to flip on us. So I think we definitely have to have Flex in there. I'm really looking. I want to see more young brothers step up, man. Like right now, and that was really what hurt me the most about Umar. I'm not sure if you know what about Umar.
No, I know about Umar.
So that's what really hurt me with Umar, because Tariq always had this thing in his Hidden Colors where he would put the legends up there first and foremost. Like, you got to put the legends up there to, you can't have certain conversations. Like, you can't have a conversation about reparations and not bring Dr. Claude Anderson on there. Like, you just can't do it. So he understood that early on, clearly. Like, look, I have to get these legends on here. But he also would focus on bringing like one or two young cats on that people hadn't heard of yet. They were local, but they were dropping heat. And I really appreciated and respected him for that, because I think for those of us who need leaders, who need people in our ear telling us how to move and what this, because a lot of us need that. So for those of us who need that, I was really looking forward to who was going to be that next young brother to take over, because a lot of these warrior scholars are older. Dr. Claude Anderson is in his 80s. Shahrazad Ali, she's getting up there. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson passed away. You know what I mean? So many others have passed away, and are getting up there in age. So I was really looking forward to these next wave of critical thinkers and leaders, and so that's what really hurt me the most about Umar, when I found out that he was doing what he was doing. But you got to have Flex in there. Dr. Claude Anderson is still going hard. He's still moving. I got to have him in there on the financial side of the game. Reparations. I still need the legends. I need Dr. Phil Valentine to give me that metaphysical, energy. You know what I mean? I need Dr. Kaba. He's still doing his thing. So, and there's a few young, like I know the sister Vicky Dillard is popping right now. I think she's going to be in his next documentary. It's called Buck Breaking. So she's going to be in that. So there's a few people on the horizon right now, but I definitely will put Flex in there. Man, he's somebody, he gets things done. He understands the business side of the game. He hasn't taken any L's, and he's somebody that's not going to waver. So he would have to be in that group.
Cool. All right, folks. So you Tariq fans that are probably going to see this video later, I'm going to do some more research on him. I'm going to start looking at more of his live shows and his commentary.
Matter of fact, you should start. He just did one on Thanksgiving, I think, yesterday or the day before. And he was talking about, the history of, Native Americans, quote unquote, and stuff like that. So I think the great thing about Flex is that Tariq is that he's versatile. So there's some people who may not listen to him when he goes political, but they love his relationships. They love his relationship stuff. They love the Mac lessons. They love that about him. Or they may hate the Mac lessons. Like, look, I'm not a Mac. I'm not trying to be a Mac. I'm not trying to, be this it guy. I'm cool. I'm married. Or I'm in a relationship. I don't need that. But I love his historical stuff. I love Hidden Colors. I love when he talks about, the Moors, and when he talks about, real Native Americans, and we were here before Columbus. And when he starts breaking down his history stuff, I really love that. So I'm going to focus on that. So whoever you are, I think you can get something from Tariq. You eat the meat, you spit the bones out. You may not get him when he's, being petty and going at somebody and bringing receipts, making puppets and stuff like that. You may not get that part, but the historical part, maybe the relationship part, stuff like that. I don't think there's a black person out here who can't gain something from listening to this brother, in whatever topic he's on. Pick the one that you like the most, and he'll give you game in it. Whatever you need to get, you can get from it.
So don't go listen to Wash Your Ass.
Nah, see, I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna listen to Wash Your Ass. I'm not gonna listen. You know what I mean? I'm sure the brother got.
I like I told you in that group, for the intro beat was fire.
Yeah, I rock with him hard body, but actually, and then to his credit, like, okay, so he started off with the rap, and then he did a little R&B joint. He has Mink Slide, you know what I'm saying?
I saw Mink,
and that's new, you know what I'm saying? So whatever. I mean, he's a hustler at heart. So he's like, yo,
I will respect that, because you have to hustle in America.
He has interests. I respect him for that. Like, so he may say, look, man, I'm not really a music guy, but I love music. I like making music, even though I'm never going to be a Teddy Riley or Babyface or this great songwriter producer. I'm not going to be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, but I love music. I love making music. So let me do something so that I can say, when my time comes, when I'm 90 years old on my deathbed, I can say, hey, I made an album. You know what I mean? I made an R&B album. It got some sales. It charted a little bit. I did a show in Atlanta. People came out and came to my concert. You know what I'm saying? I put a band on that a lot of people hadn't heard of, the Apex, and people, listen to them now. They make great music. So he's just living his life. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you're not going to get everything. I love the brother. I do. I listen to him. I respect him, but I don't get everything. I'm not in the crib working out to Mink Slide. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. But when Hidden Colors drop, when Buck Breaking drops, I'm going to be the first one. If it's post COVID and we can go back outside, we go to the theater. I guarantee you, when Buck Breaking drops, I'm gonna be the first one at that theater, and I'm gonna buy it, and I may do a show talking about what I got from it, and whatever. I'm gonna do that. But am I up here, lifting weights, running around the neighborhood, listening to Mink Slide? No. You know what I'm saying? So I can get what I need to get from the brother and move on and slide off.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, folks, I made a decision while Frank was talking. I'm going to start from Hidden Colors 1. I know they're about 2 hours each, so that's going to be at least a half a day where I can just sit and process it, because usually stuff like that with documentaries, I got to watch at least twice, make sure I got everything. So that's going to be about a half a day. So I'm going to do it for the Tariq folks. I'm going to give the brother a chance. I'm going to finish up his thing when what I played about the election. And then I'm going to start Hidden Colors probably Sunday. Because tomorrow is Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. I want predictions on that before you go. Who win in that fight?
You know, I started a Sweet Science series on my channel. You know what I mean? Like doing previews and predictions for my favorite fights and fighters. I didn't do one for this one, man, because I'm like, this ain't no real fight. Even though I look like Mike is my favorite fighter of all time. So I think Mike is going to destroy Roy Jones Jr. And I know the rules stipulate, you know, there's no knockdowns, but Mike don't give a shit about the rules, man. Like these guys are going in there to knock somebody down. You know what I'm saying? Like the ref can. I mean, I don't even understand why they put that rule in. That's why you have a ref. If it gets bad, if somebody's getting hurt, the ref steps in, calls the fight off. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why you have a no knockdown rule in the fight, but honestly, I think Mike Tyson is going to win. I think Roy doesn't have the punching power to hurt Mike. I think, you know, he has the speed, he has the length to kind of, you know, keep Mike you know, out of range, so to speak. But I think if Mike can get inside, and these guys are older, so Roy's reflexes aren't the same.
Yeah,
If Mike
that's
can
why
get
I was worried.
inside,
If Roy had the speed,
if Roy had the speed, he could hang on. He could hang on and try to wear Mike out. You know what I mean, and get him in the later rounds and kind of take over. But you know, I'm gonna tell you what never goes away. Power never goes away. Like your speed, you know, you're not as fast, but Mike still has that power. Mike can still knock out any heavyweight in the heavyweight division if he can land the shot. He can knock out Deontay Wilder. He can knock out Fury right now if he lands a clean uppercut, even at 50 years old. Like the power never goes away. So I think Mike would win. I think he just has the power. I think Mike, you know, he's an animal in there, man. I don't see how Roy can win if he can keep his distance and work his angles well and move around. I think he could have a chance, but I would have to put my money on Mike.
Okay, so so you're saying Roy Jones is going to look like what happened to what Tarver did to him in the second round?
I just, you know, Roy. See, and the thing with Roy has always been Roy's my top five. He's in my top five, and I always felt like he should have retired after he beat Ruiz. Like when he moved up to the heavyweight division and beat John Ruiz, it went all the way to the heavyweight division and won the heavyweight title. He should have retired and walked away. And the same way people look at Floyd Mayweather, they would have to look at Roy Jones that way, you know, because he was undefeated. And I mean, he had that one loss, but he got disqualified, so it didn't count. Yeah. But you know, he would have went all the way to the heavyweight division and got in there with a heavyweight champion and beat him. You know what I mean? He should have retired. So he goes to the heavyweight division, gets the title. Then he has to drop all this weight and fight Tarver, a guy that he already beat. That, you know, even if he would have knocked out Tarver in the third round, first round, nobody would have cared because people would have said, look, he already beat Tarver. Tarver's not that great. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's no reason for him to even fight Tarver. So he had nothing to gain by dropping all that weight, moving back down and fighting Antonio Tarver. Like he had nothing, you know, he had nothing to gain. So after that fight, he should have retired. But Roy has never really been known to have a strong chin. You know what I mean? Right. Like we never knew because he was so fast. And he never took a flush shot. And so you never knew what his chin was like. But as soon as Tarver landed flush, he went night. He went to sleep. And then he started sleeping a lot. A lot of his older fights, a lot of his later fights, he was sleeping every fight. He was taking a nap. But so he don't have I just don't think his chin, man, can, you know, Mike knocks out heavyweights, man. Like with you know, Roy's chin ain't built like that. If Mike lands flush, one uppercut, man, it's Roy's in trouble. He is.
Okay, and then before you go, does Nate Robinson knock out the white boy?
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he did. I'm actually looking forward to that fight just as much as I am the main event. You know, I want to see Nate. I want to see what he can do. You know what I mean? His age, I don't think he can turn pro and do something for real, but I'm anxious. I'm looking forward to see Nate and see what he can do. You know what I mean? In the ring. But on the Tariq thing, man, yo, watch Hidden Colors.
I will.
Do it at your own pace. There's no rush. Watch them. I'm telling you, you're gonna learn a lot, and I know that it'll change, or not necessarily change, but it'll clear up some of the things, some of the questions that you may have about him and his contributions. Because I mean, he does a lot of stuff. He does do some petty stuff, and you know, he does some comical stuff as well. But you know, Hidden Colors, man, that's the staple. You know, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, nobody's going to talk about Mink Slide or his petty beefs with people.
I don't know why I
But,
keep laughing when you say
but
big slide. I
I'm
don't know
not,
why I keep laughing.
the joint ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I
I
can't,
did listen to it. So
you know
I
how
don't,
some people like you can't see them doing but one thing. Like when Eddie Murphy did his album with Rick James, you know, Party All the Time and all that.
yeah.
You know, people were probably like, okay, this is a hit. It's a bop. You know, Rick James produced it, so you know he's fire. But I just can't see Eddie singing, man. Like he's an actor, he's
Yo,
a comedian.
him and
I can't
Mike,
see him
yo,
like
I swear there's people out there think him and Mike, that song, them couple songs he did, they swear it was fire.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying if he put out an album, you know, a full length album, there are a lot of people who like, look, I love Eddie, man. I love Eddie. He's one of the funniest guys to ever do it. He's a great actor. I can't listen to no Eddie record. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I see him one way. You know what I'm saying? I see him like this. So, but I think when the curtain closes on Tariq, his major contribution to the culture is going to be Hidden Colors. He's going to be the one where people said, okay, I learned about my, like he had tweets from he put up a tweet from Janelle Monáe one time when she was talking about Prince. You know, our brother, you know, we love him, one of the greatest musicians of all time, if not the greatest. She put up a tweet that said, you know, she watched Hidden Colors because Prince called her and told her to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how big it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, for somebody like, and Prince was very deep, he was very woke. But for somebody like Prince to say, hey, look, call up another person and say, hey, look, you need to watch this. This is great. This is good. This is our history. This is something every black person, you know, needs to watch. This documentary has been shown on college campuses. It's been shown in countries all over the world. It's dope. You know what I mean? And so that's his major contribution to the culture. That's what people are going to remember about him 200 years from now, after we're all long gone. When the name Tariq Nasheed comes up, it's going to be followed with Hidden Colors. Yeah.
Okay. I just saw Mink Slide again. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. No, I can't do it.
Yeah, I caught that Egyptian Musk album. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Jesus Christ.
It's called Egyptian Musk. The first one. I think he was. Has he done enough? I think he was working on. I'm not sure, but I know the first joint was called Egyptian Musk, and I think the second one was going to be like, you know, he was asking people for names. I think in one live he did, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do another Mink album." And he was asking the people to give him ideas for names. So I think people, because he was on the 80s kick. He liked that 80s R&B, like that kind of techno kind of vibe. So that's why it was called Mink Slide and Egyptian Musk. That was real popping in the 80s, whatever. So he might do something. He might come out with some Crushed Velvet or something like that, or, you know. But but yeah, man, you know, he's a good brother though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he is.
All right, y'all. They were fun. Sometime fun. I bet you when he hears this, if he does, he's gonna say I was cultural appropriating Scarface. But we'll see. But anyway, Frank, thank you so much for coming on and explaining this man to me.
No problem.
I have a better understanding. And before you go, just promote your channel and what you do again, so people could go follow you, because it's Black Friday, and we're not talking about, you know, corporations and all that. Not today.
Sure. So yeah, man, I'm Frank. View from the Man Cave. You know what I mean? I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook as well. And you know, all your social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitter at View from Man Cave. On Instagram, View from the Man Cave, or if you search my name, Frank Rivers, I'll pop up. Facebook as well. Frank Rivers on there, and I have my page for the channel View from the Man Cave. The channel's been growing at a rapid pace, so I'm very proud of that. I do shows every Tuesday night. That's my show. That's my time. So every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when I do my shows. So if you're free on Tuesday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come through, get some game. View from the Man Cave.
Thank you. It's Black Friday, folks, so we're gonna promote black businesses. So that's a black business right there. So please support black businesses. And if you want to support a smaller black business, which is mine, I'm everywhere. Kid Gravity Beyond on here, which you're seeing I'm also there on Instagram. I don't use Twitter anymore because it's a cesspool. I'm on Parler. That's like the conservative stuff, but I use that for promotion. And same name, Kid Gravity Beyond. And yes, if you want to give me money for a black business, I don't use GoFundMe. I use Cash App. So $ Kid Gravity Beyond. So if you want to, yes. If not, just hit like, share, and subscribe. Frank, thank you again for this. We're going to get out of here. Take care, stay safe, wear your mask to get your supplies. And remember, just because you don't know anybody doesn't mean that you can't spend 5 minutes researching them and lending yourself to other people that might know that person to get a better understanding, because you're on this earth to learn. That's our only function in life, is to learn and evolve.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be nice with it because usually I have a joke, but not tonight. This was a serious topic somewhat. We threw in a couple jokes, but yes. Again, Frank, View from the Man Cave, thank you. And tomorrow, Rose and I will be together. We will do our conspiracy theory show. I might do it on YouTube, even though I'm sure they'll flag it because they don't like conspiracy theories. But we'll see how it goes. And everybody, make sure you exercise all that turkey and ham and collard greens and all that stuff you ate yesterday. It's a lot of salt, folks. A lot of salt. And you know how black people are with their salt.
Facts.
All right, we're getting out of here. Bye-bye.
All right.